Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to the UnLearnT podcast. I'm your host with Abigail, aka RA.
What up, friends? It's your girl Jaquita.
This is the podcast that is helping you gain the courage to change your mind so that you, yes, you, can experience more freedom.
Listen, people, we back.
We're
All right,
back.
it's time for another episode. This is the Level Up series.
Yes,
Okay, it's gonna be a short series, but impactful.
yes,
Okay, because we gotta get to these next places in our lives.
we do.
And I feel like a lot of us are kind of right on the brink of it. And so today we're gonna lean just a tad bit more practical, but we still got that hot fire for you. But I
Thank you
spit
for
hot
that.
fire. What
Okay,
show is that from?
I can't tell you.
Making the Band. What's wrong with you?
Oh, making the band, making the band.
Actually, it's from Chappelle's parody of Making the Band,
Oh,
which was also just as funny.
Mhm,
But nevertheless, a little trip down memory lane.
mhm.
I am excited to talk about today. I work with graduate students, so a lot of graduate students, their entire world is focused around leveling up. They're like,
Mhm.
hey, I came to get this advanced degree so that I could go back out into the workforce and ask for some things and elevate and move to the next level. And a lot of times they want to talk specifically about the space of interview, job, accepting the job, and negotiations, baby. Okay, negotiations. You got to negotiate that thing. Okay, you don't ever accept the offer as is unless the people who gave the offer just threw that thing together just right. Just so. And I will say one of my last jobs, my boss, when he sent me the job offer, he said, "Hey, Jaquita, we're just really excited, to possibly have you on the team." And he would say, "I want to let you know this is my final and best offer." That was how he presented. He's like, "Want to give you our best offer. This is it. Do you
This
want
is
this
your
or not?"
sign to say, don't ask for no more.
Yeah. And he was like, "Hey, listen, you can try to negotiate and waste both of our times.
Right.
But the budget says
That's right.
that this is the most I've given you the top of the salary.
Yes.
I've given you all I could give. All
Yep.
right. What you want to do?"
Yep. Yep. This is gonna be interesting for me personally. I have never negotiated a salary. Partly because of this is the positions I've been in have been a lot of times um the I've been new positions. So like I'm starting something.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's really no way to know what it's worth yet because it's like, hey, we all just kind of starting. But one thing that I do think, and as I was thinking about this and coming into this conversation, I negotiate based up. I fundraise, which is its own form of negotiation. And
Mm-hmm.
so I don't necessarily negotiate for my personal salary, but I negotiate for um, the funds that we raise in our organization. So the angle that I think I'm learning from it coming from, even though it's not personal, is like it is personal. It doesn't come directly into my pocketbook, but it goes into a fund, and I have to go out and ask people and figure out, are we a good fit? Is this something? Are we of value to you? Do you want to invest in what we do? This is how much I
Mm-hmm.
need. This is what we can, this is how much. Okay, well, this is how much we have. Okay, well, this is where we can, this is what I could take. This makes
Mm-hmm.
sense. This is worth my time to fill this grant out. This is not like, so like, I really come at it from that angle. And I am personally in a place right now where I probably am needing to enter into the negotiation space personally. But so that's just something I gotta work through. But that just hasn't been my experience. But it is important to know what you are asking for, what you need, and then be prepared to do that.
Listen, and I think you hit on something that's really, really key is that there is oftentimes a gap between what you feel you are worth to an organization and what that organization feels is the worth of that position.
That's correct.
Because the truth of the matter is that before you interviewed for that position, they likely have assigned a number
Yep.
to it. Right. They likely have said, "Hey, this is our top. This is our top number for this role." Right? And they also likely have said, "Wouldn't it be great if we came a little under?" Like wouldn't
They
it be
have.
great if we, shade 5,000 off of this? Wouldn't
And
that be fantastic?
you know what? Let me say this, because I'm also, the angle I also come from is somebody who who is the one who's doing most of the offering. Like
Mhm.
I do that part. Like I'm on that side. So the way that organizations, companies, people think, I'm usually thinking like that. And
Mhm.
so it's
She's the
it to,
op, y'all. She's the op.
hey, and let me just, hey, that's cool. And I'm here to help you understand how people like us think. Because what
Oh, I think it's so good.
I have this conversation. I actually had this conversation with my sister. We have these conversations all the time. Rhoda is Rhoda, that's my sister. She's amazing
Hey,
at what she
bro.
does. Hey, Rhoda.
She that
And
girl.
people, no, seriously, she's sought after in her field. And so she's getting offers all the time, honestly, like to do this and do that. And
Y'all see
so
Ruth Abigail's little proud face? She's getting offers all
she
the
is.
time.
She is. I'm so proud of
Okay.
her.
She's
And so
wow.
we have this conversation a lot of just like me kind of sharing the perspective of the executive side who's making the decisions, making the offer. And
Mhm.
here's some game on how they're probably thinking. And then on your end, you're like, well, I think I deserve this. Maybe you do, but understand that they may be thinking this. And
Mm.
so just to, so I am here to present that that side as well. That's
Listen,
all.
and I think I in higher ed, this is the way it goes. All right. It's often not a lot of room for negotiating, especially, I work at a state institution. Okay. And that state institution is like, hey, bruh, this is what it is. All right. We not finna go back and forth. The one time, the one time we did allow someone to negotiate, and it was for so little. When I say
Hmm.
it really didn't make a real difference in his pocket at all. But when I tell you cause an uproar for that little bit of pocket change. Okay, I'm talking about he could get an extra Chick-fil-A meal every month. And it caused an uproar,
Yeah.
and so I think that negotiating is something that you have to learn how to do. I think it's important to do because I think it's important that you off jump let people know, hey, I know you have a line item. I know you have a budget. I'm well aware of how, organizational budgets work. But I need you to know that the impact of who I am and what I'm going to do here is going to amplify the way that we use money around here. And so I'm worth every penny. And so I'm going to ask for more and you may not be able to give it, but I need you to know that I know who I am.
Can I? All right. So I want to bring up
Here
what?
comes the op.
No. No. But I think what you said, this is one of the things that I think. So we have a few points that we're gonna lay out for you in the midst of this conversation, and I'll just jump to this one because you kind of opened the door for it. Is you essentially said, I'm paraphrasing. I I'm what my value is, what I'm going to bring to the table is going to impact what comes into the organization financially.
Yeah.
Okay, that is not something that people often think about
Mm.
when you're negotiating. If you usually there's a hopefully there's a range you're working with, and everybody wants the top range. I mean, let's be honest, everybody wants to believe that they want the top. Cool. The two things that you have to be aware of: number one, that leader, at the end of the day, if they're in the executive position, they're thinking about finances. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Something in my field that we say all the time: no money, no mission. That is you have to think that way. No money, no mission. Hey, and if I don't pay attention to this money, none of us get to be here. So They are thinking about that. If you can articulate in your negotiation, in the way you interview, on your resume, even that what you bring is going to affect the bottom line, you are going to be seen as more valuable
Mm-hmm.
immediately. So it's not just about what you do, but is what you do going to affect going to affect one of two things:
Yes.
what comes in, the revenue, and what goes out, your expenses. Is it going to lower expenses or is it going to increase revenue? And think about
That's
that.
good.
Be able to connect those dots.
Yeah.
And so,
And don't
especially,
overpromise though.
no, 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 no.
Don't overpromise. Don't,
It's
yeah.
no, there's no commitment to it because there's things you
No,
can't
but don't
control.
don't go in saying, and when I get through with my first year, I'm
Mm-mm.
gonna boom 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 back, because then that's how you get that money taken away.
That's it. And that ain't what you're trying
Yeah.
to do. You're not committing to an outcome. You're just showing them that you can think like them. And
Mm-hmm.
that's important. Like, okay, I'm hiring somebody who understands something beyond even their actual
That's
personal
good. Yeah, that's really
responsibility.
good.
And
And
so
that's for any level.
that's
Yeah.
for any level. You need to
Yeah.
understand that, right? And so that's the first thing I want to point out. Like, people you're talking to, I'm telling you, they thinking about, and if they're not thinking about it, the people above them are thinking about it. And so it is definitely part of the conversation. So when they give you a number, they're giving you a number that they value the position at based on what the position is supposed to give. But if you say,
Mm.
I'm going to show you that I can maximize this position beyond what you think it can be based on who I am, you have a better shot. You have a
Mm.
better shot. You have a better shot. And I'll say my next thing later on. Okay, go ahead.
I think that that is so key though, because and we're gonna back it up a little bit if you don't mind, Ruth Abigail,
Let's back it up.
to the interview, because you have a thing in the interview. You need to be displaying. I think in the last episode we talked about that rare and valuable thing, right? You need to know how to communicate the way that you know that you impact organizations, right? Are you the person that comes in and creates structure and builds systems that help us to run more efficiently? Are you the person that gets people really excited and help to galvanize energy around ideas? Are you the person that can really set vision and get buy-in for people to run with the vision, right? Like, you have to know what that rare and valuable thing that you have is, and you have to know how to communicate that in an interview. You have to
Mm-hmm.
know how to connect your previous experience, right, to what they're asking for in the job. And I'm an intuitive person, so I'm always going to prioritize this idea of communicating things that are not seen or that are
Mm-hmm.
not apparent, right? Like, you need to be able to connect with a larger piece of the vision than what is stated in that position description, because a lot of times that is the information given to you about the position, right? The information given to you is, hey, here are the job responsibilities of this position and what we're hoping that this person will accomplish, the task that we need this person to complete,
Yeah,
right? You have to be able to situate that into a bigger picture.
that's right.
Look at the organization. What's happening in the organization right now? Why is this position important to them, right? If they lost the person, if there was a person previously in that position, what did that person do and what was celebrated about that person, right? Did that person win any awards? Right? What was that person there for 40 years? Right? That's going to tell you a lot about where that position, how people view that position, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it a new position?
Mm-hmm.
Why did they create this position? Why is this a new priority for this organization? Why is this something that they said we need this thing that we didn't have before, right? Or is it something that had a lot of turnover,
Yep.
meaning they haven't yet seen what they hoping to see out of it, or something in that position, the value ascribed to that position doesn't match the amount of work that it takes, and so people kind of cycle through it very quickly, right? What are the organization's strategic priorities?
Yes.
What are they hoping to accomplish? What have you learned about their mission and vision? What's their presence in the community? right? Who are they associated with? Who do they partner with in the community? What other organizations know your organization?
Mm-hmm.
And what do they have to say about it?
Yeah.
Right? All of this has to be taken into context with a position description.
Yeah.
So it's not just, oh, yeah, they want me to oversee this department, right? That department fits into a bigger mission for the organization, which fits into a bigger community presence. And all of those things have outcomes.
That's good.
And how are you connecting your position to the outcomes that they're hoping to see, not just from you, but from the institution at large? And you have to be able to communicate that.
And it has to authentically be who you are.
Yeah.
Like it needs to
Mhm.
authentically be who you are and not just
Yes.
because you like the number and you want to get the job, because that's going to come out pretty quickly. It's going to come out pretty quickly. This, I think this leans into another to the next point. One of the other points is understand what the company or the leader values. You need to
Mm.
understand what that is. So in when I'm writing grants, um one of the things that people, or even writing grants, but even that's a little more obvious than talking to a donor, right? So
Mhm.
especially if it's a new person that I don't know, um what do I know in back of my head what I need? So two things I've done: I've assessed what they probably can give based on what I've done some research on,
Mhm.
or based on what how other people have said. You know, if it's somebody else is connected to, and I'm aware that they give at this level over here. Okay, cool. I know that they have this ability to give, but I have that in my mind, and so based on that, it's like, okay, cool. This is what we could. This is what we need. I know what I need.
Mhm.
I understand. I've assessed what they're able to give, but we never talk about that. That's not something that comes up in the conversation. When I'm first meeting somebody, my practice is to learn about what they care about.
Yeah.
Period. That's
That's
all I'm
good.
trying to do.
Yeah.
Because if I can connect what they care about to what we do, then I'll be much more capable of making the ask of what I need,
Yes.
right? And
Because now
so
your ask is connected to
to
something
what
to
to
them.
something that matters to them. And
Yeah.
so when you are looking into your next level of going, whether it's internal or external, the research game got to be tight. You need to know what you need to know. And then when you show up, the interest in what they care about oftentimes can come out in that interview. You may not be able to ask as many questions as you want, but you need to hear and listen to what they're saying. A lot of times you can hear and catch what they care about based on the questions they're asking you. And so now I can go into my questions and my follow-up conversation, not based on what I came in with and what I need, but based
Mhm.
on digging in what they told me about them.
That's
So
good.
so now I can connect. Now when I go in to negotiate, I'm negotiating based on what I heard from you, not based on what I want.
That is good because a lot of times in negotiations, we spend a lot of time telling them about who we are and not a lot of time emphasizing that I'm the solution to what you're looking for. Right? Like that, like you have shown me that your priorities are X, Y, and Z. And this is why I fit your priorities, not
Yep.
just I'm that girl and I have a reputation of X, Y, and Z, and this is what I've done before, and I'm gonna do the same thing here. That may not
Right.
be what they're looking for.
Yep.
And in our next episode, I really want to hone in on, or we're really gonna hone in on, when you do get that role and you've negotiated that salary and you've done all the things, you're not gonna know exactly what you're doing at first, right? Tune into the next episode. We're gonna talk about it, right?
Yep.
Because there is a transition period where you realize all them promises,
Yep.
all them things I said, and I need to take a moment and figure it out, right? And so you have to realize that you are asking them to give you an opportunity to do something you've never done before. You are asking them for an opportunity to engage in work at a level that you may not have engaged at before,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so you may be extremely capable, You may have all of the right things at the right time, developed in just the right way to fit into that place, to really take that company to the next level. You may have all of that. If you cannot communicate it, if you cannot say it in a way that resonates, right, meeting like with meeting the need with a solution, right, like this is supply and demand,
Yep.
right, like the job is demanding something for you that is more than what's written on the paper. And when Ruth Abigail talks about you got to do your research, research is about learning more about the context of how this role fits into the larger mission and vision of the institution, and realizing that you have to stay current, not just what you heard or what you may have experienced if you are internal, but with what you are perceiving is next.
Yeah.
And you have to be a person that can speak to an organization's next and not just where they are right now. Because I'm telling you, I think that we're missing a lot of opportunities to move forward because we are stuck in the now.
Yeah.
And companies are always thinking about how they can move forward because they got it's competitive. The marketplace is competitive. Whatever organization you're in, they have other organizations that they compete against.
Mm-hmm.
They
Mm-hmm.
have other entities that they may partner with, but somebody else is looking at that partnership saying, how can we get in on that? What you mean they got $10,000 for them? How do we get that $10,000?
Yeah.
Right? Like the marketplace is competitive and you have to show them that I'm your edge.
And let's this might be a little bit of not a pivot, but just something that we do need. And we're not experts in this, so we're not gonna go super deep. But to your point about things are moving faster now than they ever have.
My
You
Lord.
have got to be prepared for that. And so the thing is, we talk about AI, and we all, I mean, there's a million conversations out there, a million podcasts where
Mhm.
experts are talking about it. Go find those. This ain't that. But
We
I,
talk about middle adults.
yeah, but I will say that something that we have to unlearn some things that will prevent us from learning things like that,
Yeah.
because those types of skills are what people look. I know this is not, again, coming from where I'm coming from, the space, the perspective I'm coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Human capital is going to be used very differently in the next 5 to 10 years, and if you aren't prepared for that, then you're gonna be left behind, and that's just the truth. So if and a lot of these, what we have called traditionally white collar jobs are the ones that are going to be that are ones that are going to be left behind, because
Yeah, because AI
because
can't build a house
no,
yet.
they don't, not yet,
Yet.
not for a long time, seriously.
Yeah.
Like you still have time, but AI can do accounting, AI can do HR, AI can do they can be on Wall Street. They could do it, like AI can do that stuff. When it comes to that tech stuff, AI can be a software developer. You know,
My Lord.
those were once jobs that people like fought over. That now just know those jobs, the ones that we like, the higher paying ones, the ones that even for some of us would be our next level potentially, are
Mm-hmm.
going away. So, what do you do when that happens? And one of the things you must do is you have to learn how to stay ahead of the game and
Listen.
understand where the game is and stay ahead of it and understand your value, and being able to leverage tools, not just be a
Mm-hmm.
tool. You aren't the tool anymore. You're not the tool. You
Okay,
gotta
Ruth. Ruth with a word.
okay.
You gotta leverage the tool. You not the tool. Okay, so I'm thinking really, really great cultural reference for this. Hidden Figures.
Ah,
All right.
yes, love it, love
Hidden
it, love it.
Figures.
Absolutely.
Who was it? Was it
It's one of my
Octavia
favorite scenes.
Spencer?
Yes. Went to the
Yes.
library. That
Went
girl
to
learned how to.
first she started noticing. She
Yes,
was like,
yes.
wait a minute, what's this
Mm-hmm.
thing
What's this
they
gonna do to
building
our
in this home?
jobs?
What this
Absolutely.
little And then she's like, wait a minute, this is doing the computing.
This is what
This is doing the
they were the
calculations.
calculators,
Yeah.
and now they're bringing in a calculator.
They done made a calculator. And this thing can produce at a level that we don't produce at, right? And probably with a little less error.
Yep.
Right. And so we got to figure out how to stay ahead of this game. And she was such a great
Love
leader.
it. Man,
She
so
was
good.
such a great leader
So
because
good,
I'm
man.
going to take my people with
Come
me.
on, man.
That's what, when we talk about trust your leader, right? Because if I'm coming to you with a game plan, I might have more context than you have. But trust me, if there was somebody in the room that said, no, I'm really good at calculating, and they know that I'm really good at calculating, so I'm just gonna sit here and I'm gonna keep calculating, and you not learning the game. It's so many people it's so many people who ain't learning the game because you don't listen. And so
Man.
when it comes time to who are we going to open up the door to? Who we going to open up the next opportunity to? It's going to be the people who stayed current, and not only stayed current, but the people who stayed ahead of the game. Because
Yes.
the people who were building the computers and building the machines they didn't know how to work it. They didn't know how to use it. She went the extra mile studying, getting ahead of it, researching it, really learning how, okay, this is where we're going to fit into this next plan. And I promise you, as a leader, I do that all the time. I do that all the time. I'm like, hey, y'all, this was about to happen. We were in a previous role, we were going through a lot of leadership transition, right? And everybody was getting frantic because stuff was shifting, stuff was changing, and people were like, what they gonna do next? And we don't have what we need. I put my team to the side. I said, close the door. I said, y'all see in here, let me this how we gonna do it. I don't know what everybody else doing. I don't know how they gonna navigate this, but the sky's not gonna fall out on us,
Yeah.
because this is how we're gonna navigate it. And as long as you stick with me, I'm gonna stick with you, and we gonna make it through, right? And so as I'm getting information and understanding what the new priorities are, I'm telling my team this the new game plan, right? This is how we make ourselves invaluable. We come up with a super engagement plan that I'm not I don't play games, right? And so when you are in that interview phase and you're in that, I'm one of two, one of three candidates that they're considering, right? They want the person that can keep the sky from falling out. Right? These organizations and companies know, they're like, hey, listen, we in a different kind of space, right? We don't always understand or comprehend, what all is going to change, right? I've
Correct.
been, I work in higher ed. We lose the provost, we'll lose the president.
Right.
Leaders are shifting all the time, right? Who are the people that we can trust to keep the boat afloat? Right. Those are the people we're going to promote. And you have to be able to communicate that in an interview. One interview that I was in a little while ago, I know exactly where I messed up. But I'm not mad that I messed up like this, but I know where I messed up.
Mm-hmm.
They asked me, you get to that point where you can ask questions, right? I knew that we were in the midst of a great transition. Like it was a lot of things happening. And I asked, what are you as department leaders prepared to protect about the organization I'm a part of? How are you prepared to protect and cover us as we go through this transition? And I think the answer really was, we're not. We're not. And we
Yeah.
would want you to protect your team as we take y'all through the changes, because we not going to do it. That's what
Yeah.
the answer was. I didn't know that. I thought this was a great question because I had not really ascertained. I didn't put myself in the shoes of the leader. I didn't put myself in the shoes of, they might be protecting their jobs. They gotta go
Mm,
with the new plan too. They
yeah.
they gotta figure stuff out too. And they don't need They don't need to feel like they got to fight me to do that. Now the truth of the matter is it wasn't the best fit for me.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't my rare valuable thing was not going to shine.
Yeah.
And I would have gone into, they would have seen me in protective mode, and nobody, and the people under me would have loved it, but the the
Yeah.
organization would have been like,
Yeah.
why we do this, right? And but you got to know that, like, and you have to know, in as you are in the interview process, you have to be real with yourself and say, like you asked the question earlier, do I just want this role because I want the money, I want the position, I want the title, or am I actually the right fit for this? Like, as middle adults, we're at that stage where we need to be asking ourselves, am I the right fit for this, and is this the right fit for me?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot more to negotiate besides money.
That's
That
it.
your wellness, your peace of mind, your lifestyle, your ability to have a life outside of work, right? To not have to always take work home, or to be able to manage that, your ability to feel like you're making an impact, to feel like what you're doing makes a difference, and that you have the support that you need. There's a lot more to negotiate besides money.
And on that point, there is a lot more to negotiate besides money. So one of the things that you've got to be honest with about yourself is how important is money to you really. Now, because here's the deal. If this is just the truth. I ain't saying I function this way. I really don't function this way, but I do know that leaders think this way.
Hmm.
If I'm going to pay you a salary at the top end, I'm going to expect top time. I'm going to expect top time. That's just real. And
Bruce said, "You asked for the extra $5,000, didn't you? All right, now
so it's like,
I need
hey,
3 more hours a day."
well, I mean, it's like, that's just, I'm just being honest. Like, that's how people think. And it's like, okay, cool. Like you're asking for this. And a lot of times in those higher level positions that have higher salaries, the time that you have to spend to do to manage the business that you're managing at that level isn't going to is not going to always allow for the other elements of your life to thrive, because you've kind of traded in some ways in some industries. I'm not saying for everything, but the truth is, you like, okay, time, I'm trading my time for dollars, and that's a lot of times how that
Mm.
works. Even if you don't have to be hourly for that. Like, you're trading your time for dollars, and so I know that for me, the money is not my highest value. I will take less as a salary if I can have more flexibility in my day to day. And
Mhm.
so, and I've said that to people, I've said that to supervisors before, because it is more important to me to be able to move and shake how I want to move and shake during the day,
Mhm.
during the week, than be stuck somewhere and making an extra 15, 20,000. Now that for some people, they're thinking like, that's crazy. That's cool. That's okay for it to be crazy. But for me,
Mhm.
that was good for me. And honestly, what ends up happening is I'm going to eventually get that extra 15, 20,000 because I put myself in positions to be ready for that
Yeah.
by being flexible enough to move and not be stuck.
Yeah.
And that's how I thought about it. I'm going to get exposure to people, places, ideas, connections, all this stuff, that will impact where I am, but also impact me down the road. And it won't have to be hard for me to make a case for more down the line, or more responsibility, or more influence. And that's me. And you have to be in a position to do that. So now sometimes you just need more. I get that. It's like, hey, we have a family, we got to bring in more money. I got to do this, and that is perfectly fine. But again, I think you have to understand who you are, what you really need, and don't just go in doing what everybody else tells you to do if it don't fit where you are right now in the season of your life you're in. Understand what's valuable to you. I'm just That's just how we think. Let me add this other little thing on.
Get in
Again, I
there.
try to help people with the game. If you ask for that top salary on your first year, don't expect too much more as you're there.
Mm.
You just need to know that,
Yeah.
because especially if you don't add more value to that revenue stream.
Mm.
If that's not happening, that 3% cost of living, that's probably what you're going to see. Like
Ah,
at your time here.
don't come
Because
here next year
you
asking
started,
for.
you said you wanted it all now before you proved anything.
Yeah.
So that's okay. And sometimes that's fine. But I'm just the way you think, because leaders don't think for the next year, they think for the next 5. So it's
Mm.
like I gotta plan. I've planned out, kind of already know where we're gonna be or where I see us being in the next 5 years. This role will have a the question is, will this, I mean, sometimes this role doesn't need to be existing. Sometimes this role is not going to really grow as much. People you hire, you don't plan. I don't think wisdom says you don't plan for the person in the role. You plan for the role. And so
Mm-hmm.
a person can be great, but the role is worth this. And so I'm going to, now if the person is great and the role is worth this, then I will hire a great person, understanding that they won't always be in this role. I don't have that intention for them. And so more money comes with a different role, but not this one, because this is what it is. And so that is where you as a valuable player of the team, regardless of the kind of role you have, is what's so crucial, because leaders are thinking, all right, I'm gonna bring this person in at this level. I know that they're not going to be here forever, and I know they're not going to stay here. I need to already have a plan for them to move somewhere else, because I can't pay them more here, because I've inflated the role, and the role doesn't actually it's actually worth that much. It's not
Yeah.
designed for somebody at that level. And so that's the kind of thinking people are doing. So you've got to know, if I take that top role and eventually I want more money, then I better be a person that they want to bring up in some other role.
Yeah. Okay.
That's my
I,
now
I
that's my
agree.
that's my that's
I
my
agree.
perspective.
I agree to some degrees. I think a couple of points. One, it is really, really important, especially when it comes to salary and promotion, that you understand the culture of the organization that you are a part of. And I think in higher ed, what we all know is that whatever salary you come in at, you are going to have to work very, very hard later on down the line to get more, because they will sit you right there
Yeah.
for as long as they can. And you will have to show that you have moved heaven and the earth in order for them to say, we can consider giving you 7%, which, depending on where you started, might not be much, And so I think, as you, for all of the people who might be in kind of, we'll call them like soft, not necessarily corporate. We'll call it soft corporate. I think that's where higher ed fits. It's not super corporate, but it's soft corporate level, right? You have to ask yourself, am I, especially as a middle adult and as a person who is growing in leadership, so I'm assuming that you have had some sort of leadership exposure or leadership experience already, and your next role is at a higher level of leadership. You have to ask yourself, how am I going to feel in this salary in a year,
Mhm.
after I have given my best and I have gotten this organization some incredible outcomes, and I have built exactly what I said I was going to build and some. I have developed teams. I have grown this metric and that metric, and everybody loves me and everybody loves the work. How are you going to feel at the end of that first year
Yeah.
with what you settled with in the beginning? And I think for me, I am thinking about that moment, because if it's the right role and you the right person and you know that this is your time and your spot and you know what you're about to go in and do, I personally don't want to have to go back to the drawing board after a year. I want to feel confident that I started, because I'm not a newbie anymore. Now in my 20s, I was like, I'll take it. And I did. I took them roles, right? And even with a master's degree from very good institutions, and and all of that, I took those roles, and I tried to negotiate, and they kind of see you as you can try, baby, but all right, this is what you're gonna get. And I know you're gonna take it. And they were right. Right. But as I'm growing in my leadership and my understanding, I've seen me work. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? I've seen what I do work. I've seen it get results. I've seen the outcomes of it. And not just the measurable outcomes, but I know that I can develop people, departments, and teams to really not, so it's not just me I'm bringing up. It's not just me that I'm saying I am going to produce this. I'm saying I'm going to produce departments and teams within your organizations to bring more revenue, income, outcomes, right? Like, and so I think at that level, you got to be real with yourself. And again, I work for a state institution, salaries are public, and that's how a lot of salaries are negotiated, because we
Mm.
say, and a lot of times people within their salaries go and look and see what people, their peers, their
Mm-hmm.
peer colleagues are getting, and they're like, oh, so somebody played me. Okay. And we're going to review this, and I need this to come up. All right. And so I think that there's room for that. One of the things I hear a lot in higher ed is that in order to get a raise, you have to have an offer. So, sometimes people in higher ed just go out and interview and get offers just so they can take it back to their home institution and say, hey, they said they're going to pay me this. What y'all going to do? And then that's when they're like, yeah, actually, we can. Actually, you could have from the beginning. And I think that's why it is important. I'm too old. I don't want to go through all that. Let's get this right. Let's do something that's fair to both of us. And I can be mindful of where you are. But I need, and that's another thing. And I'm just sorry, these are just present thoughts with me. But that's another thing. As my supervisor, I'm watching you as my potential next supervisor. I am looking at how you are handling this moment, because a lot of what that supervisor is having to do is to go to bat for you in the room and say, I really want to hire this person. They are the best fit for the role. I believe that they're going to this and that. I want them to have the top salary. What's the most we can give? Okay, if I don't think that's enough, can we negotiate? I need to know what you're doing in the back room.
Mm-hmm.
I need to know when you bring me the deal that you are bringing me your best.
Yeah.
And even if I ask for more, I need to know that you fought for me. And so if you bring me something that's mid and we both know,
Yeah.
you get what
Yeah.
I'm saying? I'm going to feel a way about that,
Yeah.
because I have to trust you with my with my future salary negotiations.
Well,
Cuz this won't be the last time.
I
In
think
5 years
that's
I'm going to be back.
I think that's important. What you
Yeah.
said, that like what you know, what we both know, and I think that's a key element to this, is like knowing who you are and showing up as that, understanding how it fits with who you're talking to, but being clear on the things that, again, going back to what we talked about earlier, the things that people care about, being clear about that. And here's the thing: if you know that and you're confident in that, and they don't meet you there, then they're not for you. And at the end of the day, I think that's important. You want to be in a position where you don't have to say yes to somebody. Like, okay, got it. I'm okay to walk away. like like the walk away position is like, it's a powerful position. So I don't want to have to. There are certain funding opportunities, large ones, that I don't fool with, because we are not aligned. I'm not going to
Mhm.
be okay with what they want me to do if we get the money.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do all that. I'm willing to walk away from something that could be lucrative, And because it doesn't match who I am and what the values are, and we just don't connect. And so
Yeah.
if you're into a situation where you're negotiating, you're saying this, you know, this is what you deserve, this is what you need, it's what you brought to the table, and you even know that they see that, and there's no, you there's enough evidence for you to know that they're not honoring that, even though they
Hmm.
could. You want to be in a position to where you don't have to take it and you can walk away.
Yeah.
And
And
that
I have
you know,
walked away before, and
yeah,
they came back and said, "Well, actually,
yeah.
what we can do is," it was a job. I was still in nonprofit world, and they were offering a job without health insurance.
Oh, that,
And I was like, "Yeah, that's gonna be a
can't
no
do
for
it.
me, dog." And then they called me back and said, "Actually, we can offer you health insurance and some more money."
There we
I
go.
said, "Really now?
Yep, yep,
Huh?
yep,
Look at
yep,
there."
yep. You got to know. And
Yeah.
and so just I think that's really critical. Is don't be a slave to the salary. You don't do that. Don't be a slave to the offer. Understand who you are and walk away if you need to walk away. Um, and go
Walk
into it.
away. I'm gonna say this because I understand. I think sometimes we can get a little, we can get a little stringent about these things, a little high and mighty. Okay, and I'm from a faith perspective. Understand, because some roles are assignments, and you need to discuss with God what that is.
For sure.
And if it is an assignment, I know for a fact that God is going to take care of me. And so there are some things that you can't walk away from, but you do have to trust God in the negotiation process, that he will get you where you need to be. And it may not be immediately. He may still tell you, take that job, and I got it. Right. And so I just didn't want to leave
Well, see,
that little
y'all,
piece
see,
out.
I'm glad. See, I wasn't go. Look, I thought we was being practical and just doing the
That
thing.
is
No, no, no. I agree with you 100%. Quite frankly, I lean more in that direction than I do some of the other stuff I'm saying. Like, if
yeah,
I'm
no,
just being
all
real,
these hard fast rules.
like,
Here's the thing. Here is the thing. Nothing we've said has been untrue.
no, we
Nothing
stand.
we
And
said.
let me be clear. I stand by everything I said. But
10 toes,
you know,
10
I stand
toes
by everything
down.
I said. But I do want to. I want to echo what Quita said. Hey, look, there is all like if nothing is forever, so you don't have to worry about that. God is going to handle what. Look, if you put yourself in a position to trust God more than you trust the offer, you will end up on the side of on the side of this that you want to end up on, because there are going to be other things
Mhm.
that you won't see, that's not in that offer letter, that's going to benefit you in ways you could not have thought.
Yeah.
And so I agree 100%. Like, do not let that dictate whether or not you take something. But there is wisdom to be had in how, and understanding and how people think and how people operate. That is what we're. And so yes, we stand on this 100%, with the caveat of God is ultimately the final saying in control of how this works, if you allow him to be. And you have to have the faith to move forward in something, even though if it don't look best on paper. um
It may not look best on paper, but I also believe that the Lord can give you clarity about that.
of
I
course.
think the biggest thing is you need to have peace. When you accept that job offer, you need to be at peace with what it is. And so if your peace comes from, I got exactly what I wanted, and I know God is behind it and behind me, and this is going to be great, right? Or if your peace is God saying, "Hey, don't worry about it. I got it. Just you gonna trust in me, and we gonna blow this thing out the water, and I'm gonna show you what I do." Right? I don't know what stage you at. I don't know what the Lord gonna do in your particular situation at this particular moment. But I do know that if it is yours, and if it is what God wants you to have, he will give you peace, and he will give you insight into either what he's doing or what's happening behind the scenes or what's coming. You know, I believe in the promises of God. I believe in God's goodness towards me. I believe that I have unmerited favor. Mm. Right? I believe all of that. And so, but I also believe that where I am and who I am right now and everything that God has invested me does have a worth attached to it. And I'm not gonna let you play with that.
Yeah.
I'm just not. I'm just not. You know, that I'm just not. I think also as we're talking about negotiation and how we are looking at this, realize that you are actually negotiating how this job will fit into your life,
Mm-hmm.
not how your life will fit into this job.
Yeah.
Right. And so you need to be thinking
That's good.
outside of just a paycheck, right? Like you need to be learning more about the culture of the organization. You know, how do y'all feel about holidays? Are there blackout days? How do y'all feel about work from home? How do y'all feel about people leaving early or coming in a little late? Right? How do y'all feel about lunch breaks? Is everybody working through lunch? You know, I had one friend who worked with us in one office where we all used to take lunch together. We'd all be like, all right, guys, lunchtime. And we'd all be in one room cracking jokes, telling stories, and it was a whole thing. He got a new job, and at the new job, nobody ever ate lunch together, and they all worked through lunch.
Mm-hmm.
And that culture shift was very shocking to him. Also, they didn't engage in a lot of interconnectedness. It wasn't like, hey, how's the family? Talk to me about your life and everything going on. They were like, my door's closed. Like, what you doing? Don't come in here talking about that. Right. And so that culture shift ended up being a huge deal for him. Right. You need to know what are the things that are really important to me in a role.
Mm-hmm.
And some of those things you'll be able to build and influence, and some of those things you walking into.
Yeah.
And so, as you're thinking about negotiations, all of that has to play a part in it.
Yep. It does. I love
Yeah.
that. We're gonna be done. I just feel the need to say this one last thing. We're done. I promise. But I just want to see because I know producer Joy over here looking like y'all over. Um, I you want to the level of transparency of the leadership who is on the other side of the table from you is going to help you determine whether or not you're being played. Like truly. Like I
Yeah.
mean, I think asking questions that are that speak to transparency and like, and I'm saying this because I've had to do that. Like there are people who I'm so grateful. My team, I have an amazing team. They deserve twice what they're getting. We don't have it, but they know we don't have it before I hire them. I never let them come into it and say like, I don't pump that up. I'll be like honest, I can't pay you what you're worth. I want to. This not we don't have it. Um and but I this is what we can give. This is what it is. This is what, so I'm not, you don't have to ask me that. I'm gonna give it to you. And
Hmm.
so because I'm aware of what somebody's gonna be thinking. I'm not naive. It's like, hey, I understand the salary is not great, but here's what we're gonna try to do. Not only that, here's where we're going. Here's what we're trying, here's what the plans are. And so the transparency that I try to have, I'm not perfect at it, but I try to have in conversations when we're hiring people is like, I'm gonna, and then I'm gonna do, especially if I believe in you. Hey, we're gonna give you everything we got. Um,
Hmm.
that we're gonna give you as much as we can money wise. We're gonna give you everything we got in some other areas, and we want to prepare you to be your best for the next place you're gonna go. Because I'm also not gonna try to hold you here.
Yeah.
Um, and so letting people know that on the front end, you want transparency with people. You want to feel that so that you don't feel like you're getting taken advantage of in
Absolutely.
that, right? Okay, so that's it. We're done. We're
Yep.
done.
Like, share, subscribe, folks.
Like, share, subscribe. Hope this was helpful. We're gonna see y'all next week. Until then, let's keep on learning together so we can experience more freedom. Peace.